Hey, I hope you guys are doing well. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at the Qs. Pretty rough day today in the Qs, and we also want to look at the top 3 stocks that make up the Qs. They actually make up 1/3 of the entire ETF, and you may know what they are. It's going to be Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon, coming in at 12, 11, and 10% of the entire ETF. Now, I like to use those as well as the Qs to kind of gauge where it is that we are going to be going as we trade through the day and even as we cycle through a week. So as we go through these stocks, if you guys enjoy the video, please hit that thumbs up or, leave your opinion down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. So let's go ahead and start on the Qs. Obviously, pretty big red day here, down over 2.5%. Now, what I was specifically looking at was the 266 level, which is right in here. As we closed out yesterday, it was a fairly decent close. We had made a nice push, but we only made it into the low 265s. It was pretty much a flat day yesterday. But as we moved into this morning, we saw this nice push all the way up to 266. So I was curious as to if we would push through this. I think that we could get all the way back up here to 269, maybe not all in one day, but eventually we would head back up there. But we failed right at 266, and as we came into the open, we had a little bit of positivity moving us up right around 265.20, 265.25, but then we quickly sold off and continued to make lower lows. So let's dive in and take a look at that. So here was today's trading. Again, we hit that 266, and then we came into that open, and pushed and made a high right in here around 265.20. What I was looking to see was, are we going to make a higher low? And we didn't. We made a lower low and then a higher low, or a lower high, excuse me. And from there, we were starting to form this nice little downward trend. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but we had a top, another top here, and then we were just bouncing on it. It was right around 10:50 Central Time, 11:50 Eastern Time that we started to break down. And the level that I was looking at was right in here around 263.60. We saw a breakdown right in there, and then we further broke down, and then we started to see the volume pour in. And to be honest, this was something that I was waiting for. I was honestly getting a little bit frustrated as we continued to see these bounces because I was looking at the other big 3, so that being, again, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon, and that they weren't doing much, kind of staying flat and kind of moving down. So let's go ahead and take a look at each of those. So we'll start with Apple, AAPL, and we'll look at its chart. Now, Apple was pretty much downhill all day. This chart looks a lot different than the Qs. Apple was down. We would see a sharp decline followed by a quick little pop to the upside, but then an even sharper move down. So as Apple was continuing to sell off, I was, really kind of curious as to why the Qs were not moving down as well. So let's take a look right around 10:50 Central Time and see. So right around there, be bingo right in here, we were starting to test the intraday lows right in here at 282.70 or 382.65. And then we broke down. So now we're making new lows. And this was kind of, the straw that broke the camel's back. We saw that big push down in Apple making new lows on the day. That accelerated the Qs, and I think that also spilled over into other stocks such as Microsoft that started off the day red as it had its earnings come out yesterday. They were signaling not as much growth going in the cloud, and we saw a pretty big decline here after hours yesterday. So as we opened up today, a nice strong push actually took us all the way up there, close to 211, right around where we closed yesterday. But then we sold off. And can you spot where 1050 is on this chart? Bingo, right in here. Right as we were coming up, we were trying to push back above 208. We failed. And we pushed down, 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 again, making new lows. So it's kind of this all of these stocks are coming together and they're pushing down the Qs, which is what I was looking for all day. Lastly, we will look at Amazon. And again, it's roughly the same story. Big hitter in the Qs, and we saw it decline right around that 1050 time period today. That, again, was right. It had pretty much triple bottomed, and this was coming in for the quadruple bottom here, and it failed. And usually once you see the triple bottom fail, the next time it's not going to be so pretty, as these buyers in the past have not been able to hold it up. We pushed it back down, and from there, we continued to make lower lows throughout the day. So what I want to focus on now is where can we see this go as we move into the future. So I want to dip back over to the Qs, and I want to pull up the 4-hour time frame here. And on the Qs, we can see something that's kind of interesting. And I'll also pull up Apple as well as the others, and we can kind of gauge those and see where support is on those stocks as well. So here on the Qs, you can see we have this nice little trend if we cut out a little bit of this trading, but for the most part, we've been trading in this channel between this lower and upper bound, and you can see when we've tried to poke through it, or as we touch that upper bound, we have a big pullback. So on the Qs here, we do have this lower bound right in here that we have yet to hit, and we're also right around this 258 support. You can see we actually pierced it today, but we did close out the day a little bit above those lows. If we would have closed right on the lows, I would be a lot more bearish than I currently am. So we do have this 258 support, and we still have this lower bound here on this upward channel. But if we do break down from here, if we do fail 258, be careful, because if we break down from there, I could quickly see us down here closer to the 250 level. And if we break all the way to 250, we will have broken that lower bound as well as crossed through the 200 moving average here on the 4-hour time frame, which I think is going to be extremely bearish. Now, on the flip side, if we do gather some support here come Friday, and as we move into next week, I think it could be a nice little push back up here to around 260, maybe into the low 260s. We'll just kind of have to see how it plays out tomorrow, but we can gauge a little bit with Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. Are they near support, or is there a big gap to fill that next area of support? In that case, we could be seeing a much easier or much quicker move to the downside on the Q. So here on Apple, kind of the same thing, but we actually broke through this lower channel. So here you can see our upper channel and now our lower channel, trading in that for some period of time dating all the way back to March. Every time that we hit that upper bound, we move down. Every time we hit the lower bound, we pop back up. But that was not the case today. And I think that was really the accelerant that we needed, or not necessarily needed, but that we got in the Qs that sent us down. So the 4 hour is not the best time frame to use here to look at those levels. Yeah, the hourly is a little bit better. So here, we've seen these pushes, and then we broke down today, and it was right around the 9 o'clock 10 period that we saw that breakdown. So that is why I was anticipating the Qs to roll over. We fell down below 380 and actually pushed all the way down to 270. And if now I can back this out a little bit, I'll point out the support level that I'm specifically looking at, and that's going to be right in here in the upper 360s, right around 370. Now, this is not the end-all, be-all support, but notice here we are on this 200-day moving average as well as this 370 support. We could dip down here closer towards 365. You can see we actually pierced it pretty low all the way down to 368 today. Now this could continue to roll through and push down here closer to 365. In that case, again, I think that this is going to be pretty bearish, but note that we are on a support here with this moving average, which tends to be a support or acts as a support, and we are also on that 370 level. So I'll be paying attention to this as we move into pre-market tomorrow to see if we are having buyers that are pushing this up or if more people are wanting to get their money out as we fade through the 200-day moving average and push closer to the 360 mark. Now, if we look here at Amazon, AMZN, or yeah, AMZN, it's the same kind of deal. We've got this nice support here on the 4-hour, right around that 29.70 mark is what I'm looking at. So it could be a little bit more to the downside to go, but we're right nearing that support. I want to see some buyers at least come in and stabilize the price. We don't necessarily need to see a big move to the upside, but maybe stabilize the price and then continue to make higher lows. And then lastly, Microsoft. And it's, again, roughly the same thing. We're right on this nice support here, right around 203. You can see just a few days ago we found it as a support, and then back here in late June we saw it as a resistance until we finally broke through it. But then, again, do notice that we are right again here on the 200-day moving average, and you can see how it's acted in the past. As we've hit it, it does act as a support. So while I, do want to, be sitting back a little bit, and I don't want to just jump into this stock or any of these stocks, I want to see it consolidate and push higher. I do think that there could be some good returns to be made since we are sitting on this support and we do have this 200-day moving average that it could bounce off of. But I still want to play it smart. If I want to take a position, a small position down here, cut my losses if we make a new low, say around 201, or respectively on the other three, or then add in if this does start to trend back up. I could continue to add into my position as this swings back up and test these highs up here around 215 or whatever it is on the other three. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, it was a pretty rough day in the markets today, but when you break it down on the Qs here and you look at those big three that make up the Qs, again, these three aren't going to be the end-all be-all. There's still 66% of the ETF that is comprised of other stocks. But it's good to look at these three and they kind of give us a good gauge. Okay, they are on support. They could be seeing some buyers move in, and that's good for the Qs. Or, yeah, we just broke through support and we're about to gap down. The Qs are most likely going to sell off. So do your own due diligence. Look at these from your own point of view. Leave your own view in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one.